Welcome 7 Degrees North. Please like, follow, share, and subscribe. Entertainment news. R. Kelly convicted of racketeering conspiracy at his federal trial in New York. In Chicago, R&B singer R. Kelly was convicted by a federal jury in New York on Monday of racketeering conspiracy and 8 other counts, alleging he headed a criminal enterprise that employed agents, runners, bodyguards, and others to lure and trap girls and young women to satisfy his sexually predatory desires. The guilty verdict on the main racketeering count in the indictment was announced in U.S. District Judge Ann Donnelly's courtroom in Brooklyn. The jury, which heard from 50 witnesses over the 6-week trial, reached its verdict after deliberating for about 9 hours over 2 days. In addition to the main count of racketeering, the jury found Kelly guilty on all 8 counts of violating the Mann Act, which prohibits travel over state lines for illegal sex. Kelly, one of the biggest stars Chicago has ever produced, faces potentially decades in prison when he's sentenced May 4th. Dressed in a navy blue suit and light blue tie, Kelly sat still and stared straight ahead as the verdicts were read shortly after 3 p.m. Eastern Time. After the proceedings were adjourned, Kelly whispered something to one of his lawyers before being led from the courtroom with his hands behind his back by a court security officer. Outside the courtroom, Kelly's lawyer, Devereaux Kinnick, told reporters his team was disappointed with the verdict and would be exploring options for appeal. Defense attorneys were expected to address reporters in more detail after the courthouse Monday afternoon. In all, the jury found Kelly guilty of 12 individual criminal acts, including the racketeering scheme, including sex with multiple underage girls, as well as a 1994 scheme to bribe an Illinois public aid official to get a phony ID for 15-year-old singer Aaliyah so the two could get illegally married. The jury found prosecutors had not proved 2 of the alleged racketeering acts, but involving the same victim, Sonia, who testified she was held captive in Kelly's music studio in Chicago and later sexually assaulted by the singer. The verdict marked Kelly's first criminal conviction after more than 2 decades of allegations over his sexual exploits. In 2008, Kelly was acquitted by a Cook County jury of child pornography charges, alleging he videotaped himself having sex with a girl as young as 13. The Grammy-winning singer, whose hits include 1996's I Believe I Can Fly, went on to sell millions more records after that shocking verdict, but questions about his misconduct continue to dog him, culminating with the 2019 Lifetime docuseries Surviving R. Kelly, chronicled the alleged abuse of more than a dozen girls and young women, several of whom later became the focus of the federal investigation. 6 months after the series aired, Kelly was charged with racketeering in U.S. District Court in Brooklyn in 2019. The trial was delayed several times by the COVID-19 pandemic got underway last month and featured nearly 6 weeks of testimony from some 50 witnesses, including a number of alleged victims who told the jury that Kelly manipulated and controlled them and forced them to have sex with him and others on videotape. He also faces a pending case in Chicago's federal courthouse where prosecutors allege he and 2 others fixed in his 2008 trial in Cook County, as well as 4 separate indictments alleging sexual abuse that is still pending at Chicago's Layton Criminal Court building. Kelly also faces a solicitation case in state court in Minnesota.